everybody doing? Well, just appreciate everybody coming out today and kind of getting this opportunity to get a chance to talk to our guys, kind of open up the season maybe officially or getting closer to official. It's 13 days away. So the closer we get, like the more hair you lose as a head coach in terms of like what haven't we covered? What do we still have to get in? Like, the more nervous you start to get. Like, even if you have everything in that you want to get in, you just still feel a little bit nervous. But, I'm excited about it. And, want to thank you guys again for coming and looking forward to working with everybody this year. Any questions that you have throughout the year, please send them to Chelsea. That's anything. That's like style of play. That's, the amount of threes, free throw percentage, rebounding, cooking ideas, any of that stuff. I'm excited about our team. I like our team. I think every coach in America will say that right now, right? If you don't, I don't know what today is, October 25th. If you don't like your team on October 25th, it's going to be a long season, man. But, I like our group, and not so much from just the strictly basketball piece. I like who they are as people. I like how we compete as a group. I like how we go after each other, and then it's over. Like when it's over, and they come back the next day and compete the same way. I love how when practice is over, everybody stays and shoots. Everybody stays and works on their game and gets shots up. There's a culture of hard work, and that kind of starts from the top from our older guys and is trickled down through our younger guys, and our younger guys are doing a great job pushing our older guys. So that part is fun to me. When you start to see, everybody talks about culture, right? To me, culture is not words. Culture is actions. And, we want to be a development program. We want to be a program that values hard work. And you're starting to see it. You're seeing the actions. Not me saying it. It's people doing it. And that's, how a culture is built and sustained. So I think that started, really with John last year. Like being who he was, being that leader for us, kind of setting that tone, and then the guys that were here kind of feeding off of that. So, I think that was a great start for us in terms of if there was anything that you can build off of from last year, it was that. And now it's starting to get established who we are and how we're going to play and what we're going to do. So we got a great group of older guys. I'm excited about the guys that are returning that have been here. You're seeing differences in their games, more comfortable. Jalen Pickett, has been our best player from day one in practices, and that we look for that to continue. We need him to have a good year for us to be good, and I think he's primed to do that. Seth Lundy looks so much more comfortable in terms of who he is as a player, what we need him to be offensively and defensively. And, as we were coming back this Sunday and I was watching film on the bus, like just a simple defensive play that he made, that he wasn't making plays like this last year, not at this time last year. His understanding as a defensive player of the total game, not just guarding my own guy and trying to shut him down. It's now being a really good team defender as well as being a lockdown defender individually. I think he's grown in leaps and bounds. I think he's grown as a player also offensively. Miles Dredd, Dalian Johnson, Caleb Dorsey, like the same exact way. They're so comfortable with what we're doing, how we want to play, and everything else. The guys that we brought in that are transfers have fit in seamlessly. That's the bonus of having fifth year or seventh year transfers. Is they understand college basketball. They understand what hard work looks like. They want to be a part of success, and they fit in seamlessly into our culture. And then, our young class, the 5 freshmen are like, they're pushing everybody. Um, Being a freshman's hard. Like, you have 8 guys on the roster that have played in college basketball games, played in multiple college basketball games, that are in practice, playing really fast without thinking. And they're trying to play at the same speed, and it's hard as a freshman. You're still thinking about what you're supposed to do, so you get behind plays at times. So, like, we expect big things from them. I don't know when it's going to be. Right? It could be, and you got one of them play unbelievable on November 7th and be terrible November 10th. But somebody else is really good on the 10th who wasn't very good on the 7th. I think all of them have a chance to help us. I think all of them will have a chance to be impactful for us. But it might not be all 5 of them at the same time. And their kind of scale or gauge for when they're ready is all going to be upon them. So, we're looking forward to it. We have a tough opponent November 7th to start the season. Winthrop's a really good program, really good returning group of guys that, was one game from going to the NCAA tournament. So, we're anxious to get in here. We're anxious to get in the BJC. We're anxious to see, I hear about the buzz of people that are excited about basketball. Like, I won't see it on November 7th. I'm looking forward to that, to see, come out and see our guys, come out and see how hard we're going to play, and then come back after that. So, open for questions if anybody has any.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm great.
Great to hear. We saw Keba's physical transformation this summer. How has he brought that onto the court, and what did you see from him sort of in the first real action you could get Sunday?
Yeah, he the surprising thing was that his physical transformation happened, like, some of it happened before he even got here. I think that's the beauty of recruiting guys that aren't fully developed, in high school, right? There's different ages, different stages of people. There was actually an article yesterday that talked about the birthdays of college and NBA stars that was out there, and he's a prime example of that. Who we signed and who we watched on that signing day video is a completely different player in person right now. Like, the kid turned 18 first day of classes. Like, that's unprecedented. But he changed, and he works really hard on his game. He works really hard on his body. He works really hard in the classroom. He's going to be a good player for us. I don't know when. Right? He's still a freshman. He's still going to have ups and downs as we go. But, I think, there's going to be times where it's going to look like he's a senior out there, and there's going to be times where he looks like he should still be in high school. But, playing against people, he needs reps. He needs reps. That's the biggest thing. I think all freshmen do. Right? That's the hardest part for me right now is we got a bunch of older guys that don't need reps, right? They got a lot of tread on the tires. But we got younger guys that do need it. So how we formulate practice plans, how much we play, how much we do is tricky because, Jalen Pickett played 9,475 minutes last year, right? He doesn't need to be doing every single drill in practice, but Evan Mahaffey does, Keba Jai does, so figuring that out. So those guys need reps. They'll make mistakes, but hopefully these older guys can cover for them until they can be mistake-free at some point in time this year.
Nate and then Mark.
I think that lends itself well. Do you have an ability to speed the process of cohesion? Are there things that you can do to maybe speed that up? And whether that's true or not, is there a point in the season where you'd like to benchmark for yourself, hey, that we'd like to be playing the way that we want to play?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a particular time that we're looking for. I think we continue to get better as we go, try and grow from each experience. So or that's getting better from one practice to the next or one game to the next. Just trying to grow in those areas. I don't know how you speed it up, right? Like I said, they need as many reps as possible. Playing against other people is important. I went back and watched. I'm currently watching our first scrimmage last year. We scrimmaged George Mason about this time last year. And I was like, we were a terrible defensive team at that point in time, right? But we got better as the year went on. We were bad early in the year. All right, you watch this. UMass torched us. And Ohio State came in and torched us. Like, we got better as it went on, but playing other people helps. And I think that helps us. We have great cohesion off the court. So I believe we're not where we need to be from a technical standpoint. But I think from a trust standpoint, we are. I don't know, like, you lose games late, and, like, that's where you see the cohesion of a group, right? Like, you get late in games when you really trust each other, when you really believe in each other, you pull out some late game victories. That's probably where our team was hurt the most, right? We didn't have the full summer kind of COVID-free where we could do a bunch of things together. Guys were arriving at different times throughout the summer. We had almost everybody here the whole summer. So we went 8 weeks where we're doing stuff every single week. Excuse me. Just building off the court who we are. And I think that's celebrated. Like, the little things, like, I don't know, you guys may see, like, anytime somebody does something on Instagram, everybody posts it. Like, that's like little stuff. It's stupid stuff. But it's genuine in terms of our guys. Some people just do it just because, right? I'm supposed to. They said it. They told me to. But, like, they do it because they really like each other. They really believe in each other. They really want to see each other succeed. And I think that was built through the summer months.
Can you speak to Evan's versatility and, how many different areas can you play him, and how helpful is it to have a player like that depth-wise, or if he starts whatever, but just be able to plug in and play him just about anywhere? Thanks.
Yeah. When you see him, Mark, if you ask him questions out there, tell him I said to stay down on shot fakes. I love his versatility, his ability to play a bunch of different positions, his ability to think on the floor and play fast. He gives you a different dimension where he can guard on the perimeter, but he can also come from the weak side and block your shot above the rim. And it gives us more flexibility defensively. He helps some other guys that, maybe not as mobile as a defensive rebounder, where he can track down some rebounds all over the court. I think those things will stand out. I think for him to help us early, really all of our freshmen, the biggest thing for him, I was like, hey, make these older guys better. Whatever you do, how do you get on the floor? You make those guys better. So how can you make Jalen Pickett better? Like, how can you make Cam Winter better? How can you make Andrew Funk better? Like, that's what they're trying to do right now. I think Evan's versatility allows us to do that, allows us to play a lot of different ways, allows us to switch more and do things like that. So he's getting there. He's going to be impactful for us. And if he stays down on shot fakes, he's going to be really good.
Andrew and Ben.
Back here. Well, we saw you guys practice about 2 weeks ago. One thing that jumped out to me was size. You guys significantly bigger than you were a season ago. When you watch tape from last year, is that apparent to you how much bigger you are this year? And in what ways have you seen that size help you game plan and be more flexible this summer?
Yeah, it's and the crazy thing is, I still feel like we're pretty small. Like, you'll start to see us as we go. I think that's throughout the years when you start to see our recruiting classes. We have our skill level where we want it right now with this team. Now we start to add the same skill level in bigger, longer, more athletic guys. So I think as you start to see some classes come in, you want to see that more because of that versatility, right? That's when you want to really be kind of a terror for people defensively and offensively when you get to that. I think the size and the versatility helps us. You guys, no secret that I don't think you combat true size with bad size, right? Like, you don't just Zach Edey's 7'4". Let's go find a 7'4" guy at the mall and throw him on the court. Like, it's probably not going to work. He's still going to have an advantage on both ends because that guy can't play. So, like, what can we have at our size that we can get to combat what they do? So whether that's size on the interior or size on the perimeter, all those things are helpful in terms of what we're looking for. So we're not there yet. We're getting there. But, I think when you see us get off the bus, at least we look like a Big Ten team.
How's it going, Micah?
That's great. How are you doing? Good to see you again.
I know. I'm just following you around the country, or you're following me. Kind of going off the big stuff. John gave you, for whatever his strengths or weaknesses were, a guy to lean on in that area, and you know as well as anybody how much the Big Ten relies on big guys in the interior. How do you balance getting Keba sort of ready without, throwing him head first into the fire and worrying, not maybe about his confidence, but just sort of that balance of he might be your best option in some regards, but also he might be the most raw?
Yeah, it's it's quite the challenge. Like, just because you need different things from different people, and all of our guys, like John was awesome, and the crazy thing is nobody ever got back to me. I sat up here. I started this early last year about the John campaign for a 6th year, and like the Big Ten, like Penn State administration, like you guys never helped me. Like, nobody signed the petition to get him back except for me. It was like a petition of 1. So John's in Spain, and unfortunately I don't get to coach him this year. Appreciate you guys. But like Keba is he's what we got, right? Like Meach is what we got. Caleb, Mikey, whoever it is, but they can't be John. Like, it's impossible. I don't think anybody is. He's one of one in terms of how hard you play, how physical he is, how smart he became. Now it's about getting those guys to that point, and it may not be on. I get my dates mixed up, but in our first Big Ten game in December. Right, he might not be exactly where we need him to be, but like, can we get him better in December, in January, in February, and like, he needs to keep ascending, right? There can't be like a freshman wall where it's just like, all right, this dude is done in February and he's got nothing left for you. We got to keep him growing and keep getting better and better. So now you see him at the end of the year, you're like, wow, he's made a difference. I think our team got better in that way last year. I think individually we can do that. These guys they have a thirst for learning. There's more guys that come up and watch film this year. I think that starts, like, I tell those guys all the time about, Jaden Ivey, like as a freshman, how much he came to watch film. And he started the year really slow, and then he got better, and then he got better, and then by March he was averaging 20 points in the tournament, the Big Ten tournament, in the regular season. Like, these guys watch film, like, every day, whether it's on, after practice, off days, before practice. They're learning on the court, they're learning off the court. So I don't think it's a confidence thing. I think, it's our job to continue to build him up in terms of who he is as a player. But, yeah, there's going to be really good guys out there. He's going to see some firepower that he's probably never seen before. He's going to see it in these scrimmages, and it's going to be great for him. But he also played against some guys, too, that were really good when he was at La Lumiere. So I'm not worried about that. His brother's 7 feet. Like, he plays at SMU. His dad's built like an oak tree. So playing in the driveway against them is probably taking some of his confidence too. So he's played against big guys. I think he'll be ready. But it's our job to have him fired up, ready to go, but be complementary to what we need on both ends. He doesn't have to be our leading scorer. He just has to fight for us. He just has to rebound for us and be really effective.
Spencer and
Hey, Micah. So how's it been developing the freshman class since you didn't really have one last year? And what's the biggest thing you've learned so far from developing the freshman class?
They like I said, they got a thirst for knowledge. Like they all want to be good. They all want to be better. They learn a lot in practice. There's days, and they're different. And this, like I said, this might happen during the season. There's days where, like, Jameel Brown can be unbelievable. And then the next day you're like, was Jameel here at practice today? Because Kanye's like really good. And then like Evan's really good. And then like Kebo will have days where he just looks like $1 million. It's like, holy smokes. Like these guys have potential, but they have to put it together day after day after day, right? That's what these fifth-year guys do. So that's their challenge. Their challenge is none of these guys have ever had to like not start a game. None of these guys have ever probably sat more than they've played. That'll be a challenge for them. How do you respond when you haven't, when your opportunities are smaller than, maybe you want them to be, maybe you've ever had them become. But they work. Like these dudes work like crazy, and they're always here. They're always working. They're always doing what they need to do. They're the foundation of what this program's going to be. And when you get a chance to see them, I want you to see them at their best. But they're going to have bad days. So, we all do. But they're going to be really good players for us. They all bring a different element. They all fit together. That's the main thing. Like there's not four Meaches, right? And now Meach is looking around like, how am I ever going to get a chance to play? They all fit together in some way. So they all complement each other. They all make each other better. But they all make our older guys better as well. So there's games where we're going to use one over the other, and then the next game we can use the other one more than the first one. So it'll be a process throughout this whole year.
Hey, Micah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Going to the veterans, Andrew Funk is someone who I think over the summer you talked about, someone coming in where he doesn't have to be the guy anymore. He's not going to be the focal point of opposing defenses. How have you kind of seen him go into that role? And when you have a player that is kind of going into a new role like that, do you see a change in them? How do you see them kind of change with that, I guess?
Yeah, Andrew fit like from day one with his personality, with kind of like I talked about, the routine of hard work. Like he's old, man. He's got a routine that he does every single day. Like he comes in and gets his shots up on his own and does it. Like it's consistent. And then when you get to the practice court, when you get in games, right, you see why. You see why he does it every single day. He doesn't need time to get his shot off. He's probably never gotten this many clean looks since he was playing with Colin Gillespie in high school, right? Like, you go from being number one on the scouting report down a little bit, down a notch or two. It just frees you up. You don't have the best guy guarding you every single time. Now, he's going to have people guard him, right, because everybody knows who can shoot. But he's got gravity, right? He pulls the defenses in different ways just because of his presence on the court. So it may not always be him scoring. It could just be people worried about where he is, which opens up driving lanes, which opens up post-ups, and everything else. But when he gets a clean look and it doesn't go down, I'm surprised. All right, there's days where I'm like, man, Funk didn't shoot it well today. Then you go back and look at the stat sheet. You're like, oh, he was 4 for 9. Like, yeah, he did. He did shoot it well. You're just surprised when he misses, just because of the time he puts in, how quick he can get it off. You think you're there and you're not. You're not there because he gets it off so quick. But you also got a little bit of game to him as well, where like, if you take his shot away, he's not like done. He's not, he's got some game to him where he can get by, he can get to the rim, he can score it in different ways. So it's good to have another guy that people have to focus on. People have to know where he is at all times. People got to find him, and it'll open up things for other people.
Hi, Micah. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Pretty good, man. How would you describe some of the lessons that you learned from yourself and your coaching style and the team in Big Ten play, and how is that going to change or develop here in year 2?
Yeah, I don't know about myself, right? Like, I'm like, I don't think I'll ever be a finished product, right? You have to learn, you have to continue to learn every single year. Right before I came down here, I was calling Coach Painter, asking about a double team question, like just something that we went through. So I'm trying to constantly evolve and continue to grow as a coach. I know we need to be better earlier, right? Like, we played Michigan State the second game of the year of Big Ten, and they ran us through the gym. We play them to start the Big Ten this year. So, like, transition defense better be pretty good on that date, whatever it is, right? It needs to be good now. It needs to be good when we play Winthrop and whoever else. But, like, I know when that one comes up, like, we better be good in our transition. There's a feel for, I have a pretty good feel for what we need to do. How we've practiced, how we've worked on different things. We're doing more late game situations, right? Because that's where we needed to get better. Let's get as many of those in as possible and work on all of these in different ways where it's, not just our older guys, it's our younger guys that are getting better at this. And now there's things that I'm trying to think of as well, or even with our staff, like, just talking to them about how they can help me in late game situations. So we've gone through it all together. You feel better going into this next year. Still probably won't be perfect. I hope we will, but just be better. Just be better, especially late games, closing things out. Put us in a different position in the standings.
Micah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Kind of piggybacking off his question, you've got a year under your belt now. What are some of the biggest takeaways from last season, and how do you feel, if any, you've evolved, during that year in terms of like your coaching philosophy or your approach to things? Thanks.
I think, like, the level of comfort in terms of what we want to do, the level of comfort with our whole staff, right? Having staff continuity is huge. You don't necessarily, even though we have 5 freshmen, 3 other new guys, got 8 new guys. Last year we had, I don't even know, same amount. We had 100 new guys and a whole new staff, right? So, like, I had to teach everything, right? So the practices are longer. You're standing up, you're talking, but you're like, we got to meet beforehand because I got to talk to our staff about how we're going to guard things, how we're going to do things. Like, now we don't have to as much, right? They understand what we're trying to do. They understand how to teach it. We do a lot more, try and do a lot more breakdown stuff where those guys are leading it, where I can take a step back and watch a little bit more and come in and correct when I need to. So that part's been really good, really helpful. It frees me up to do some more things in terms of what we need to do, how we need to get better, looking at different things, like, offensively and defensively as we're going into the non-conference and then the conference part of it. So that's been the biggest difference is, you don't have to coach everything. Just having, like, we have a really good staff. It's guys that are really good recruiters, guys that are really good coaches, guys that are really good connectors of people. I think allowing them to shine more and do more just because they're not learning all the time. Now they're really comfortable in what they're doing, and I think that'll start to come out more with our whole program.
Hey, Micah, how are you?
I'm good.
So you mentioned Jalen Pickett was, your best player since day one. I'm wondering, what has he done to develop his game? And, was there a moment in the offseason where you were like, okay, this guy's probably our best player?
He's won pretty much every time. That's a huge factor in it. He shot the ball better. I think just his his overall confidence as a player is starting to come back. Right? Where there was a little bit of timidness last year at the start because everything was new. And then as the season went on, you could see him getting better and better and more comfortable. Like that, like the timidness part wasn't there at all this year when we started. And, he's kind of attacked in different ways, whether that, face up and driving, whether that be in the post, whether that be making threes. He's kind of doing it in a lot of different ways, still getting assists, still passing, still defending, and doing all those other things. I think our first day that we had a full team kind of workout together, I put him on the team with all the freshmen, and they completely dominated day one. It was like eye-opening. But he was so good, right? Like the other guys didn't have to do much. Stand out there and make shots or drive, when he drew a bunch of help. It's been much more even since then, as we mix things up. But that was really eye-opening on day one. He prepared his body. He's doing more in the weight room. He's doing more with his strength and flexibility in the training room. I think he wants to be better, and I think he's prepared his body to be better, and I think that's really helped him as well.
Time for one more.
Micah, where are you guys at from a team health perspective, and how do you manage? I know you said about maybe Pick and Funk don't need every drill, but how do you manage that leading up to the opener?
Yeah, that's we're pretty healthy for the most part. I think we've had guys banged up here and there, so there's guys with a little bit here. Like Miles may have like a calf injury or Funk's shoulder, or like nothing that's really kept anybody out of practice. Where guys have missed maybe a day and then been back. Demetrius Lilly's been the one. He's been out a little bit. He's been out a couple of weeks. He's kind of working into practice now, a little bit at a time. But then you have to, when you miss time like that, you have to make sure you're back physically. So he's easing back into things where we can't rush it. You just don't want anybody to get hurt as they're coming back from an injury, but nothing like major kind of stuff. So that's where we're at. You feel pretty, knock on wood, right? You read something every day about some team that some guy's out for the season or some guy's out till January. Like we've been really fortunate where we haven't, had anything like that, and that's important too, right? We're practicing shorter, right, because we need to just to save these guys, but we also don't have to teach as much as we did earlier in the season. So we're getting in, we're competing against each other, and then we're getting out and making sure guys stay healthy, and that's huge. Last year we went through a bunch where guys were out, and it's hard to practice. Right? It's hard to put two teams together and still be competitive against each other, where when you have everybody, you can split it up, and there are guys that you have two even teams of guys that are competing against each other, and you still get a really good practice segment while also getting guys a break when they need it too. So I don't know if this is wood, but we want to stay right where we're at. Thank you, guys.